Euer. Very good.
Um, Thank you. Thank you for the presentation. I would definitely encourage folks to sign up for the app and get the alerts. I've been getting the alerts since I saw the ISO presentation a couple years ago in the Environment and Agriculture Committee. A couple things from your presentation that I wanted to highlight, primarily being the energy efficiency component. And I know when you've come in front of the Environment Committee to talk about you give a little bit different presentation there, and the energy efficiency stuff, how that was being tracked. I know I called attention to that in the last couple of years that you've been in front of that committee. But I think it's really important to highlight that on the energy efficiency stuff, you talked about, the slide said something about reducing peak. Well, that peak demand is driven by consumer use of energy. And so if you're reducing these energy efficiency programs that Rhode Island is one of the country's leaders in, you're reducing consumer demand, you're essentially reducing consumer cost. And I think that that's really important to bear out, because one of the things that we also hear about a lot is the price of people's energy bills. And so I think it's really important that those energy efficiency programs translate to cost savings on people's electricity bills. And so I think that that's an important, or home heating. So I just wanted to kind of flag that's a really important aspect. But I would be really interested to hear from either Carrie or Eric about, you mentioned a little bit about how your primary focus is really about reliability, and that's, kind of your primary mandate. But I know that there's also been some push, and I know the regional governors put out a statement, including Gina Raimondo joined onto a statement by regional governors in October, asking the ISO to expand your considerations beyond just reliability, but also to take more into consideration both the climate and environmental concerns. Because I think the way that the current system is set up, there's a lot of externalities in the system, and the cost of those externalities are borne by frontline communities that are dealing with public health issues. Those are all costs that we as states end up having to pay for. And so, for me as a state legislator, it makes sense that if we're thinking about our energy systems, that we need to be thinking holistically about the problems that they create, because we all know the benefits because we're all here on our computers and we all like talking on the phone and texting and all of that. So we know that we need energy, but the costs are holistic. And as government regulators, we should be in a position where we are setting up a system to regulate in a holistic manner. So I was wondering if you all had a comment on if ISO is looking at adjusting your considerations beyond just the reliability.
It's a great question, and I'll take a first shot at that. So when the governors and the New England states issued their joint statements back in October, we met with them, and they singled out three categories. One was the design of the market, one was the way we plan the system, and the third was the governance of the organization. And we've started a dialogue really on all three of those tracks. The first area of our mission, that really is hardwired into our FERC-approved tariff. So if we want to change the mission of the ISO to do something other than select the lowest price resources to meet the demand for electricity, we would have to go through a conversation with stakeholders and bring that to FERC for approval. So we wouldn't be able to make that change unilaterally. However, there's a very robust conversation at the regional level within the NEPOOL stakeholder process about what's the best market design approach to help not only meet the reliability objectives in the wholesale market, but to align those objectives with the states want for renewable and clean energy. And that'll take more time, but there's a couple of studies that we expect to kick off in 2021. And we're happy to keep the commission or the legislature apprised of those developments. I think you're going to see movement on the market design piece in maybe in late 2021 after we have some results of different studies to look at. One concept would be to develop a forward clean energy market. So like the capacity market that we buy forward today, you could buy forward the amount of energy that you would need, and essentially you would buy the types of clean energy that the states are looking for. That would be a substantial change to the market. It would take time to put into place, but it's one of the things that we expect that we'd be studying in 2021. I'll just move through the categories quickly. The second one is transmission planning. We mentioned that we look out 10 years into the future, and the states have said that that makes sense for now, but we're bringing on lots and lots of offshore wind, for an example. So are we really planning the system for large-scale integration of renewable resources? And so we've said we can start looking beyond that 10-year horizon, think about what gaps there might be, what maybe different approaches there could be for integrating those resources, and that's almost entirely geared toward looking at offshore wind. So I think in both of those categories, we're beginning those conversations. We're very open to that. The last category is the governance structure for the ISO, and we've raised that, and the states have raised that with our board, and I understand that the board is actively listening to what the state's concerns are, and knowing that the governance in the state's mind influences the outcomes in the transmission planning and the market development. So I don't think you're going to see anything change overnight or even at the beginning of 2021, but I think directionally our vision is to align with what the states are trying to accomplish with their public policy priorities.
Thank you, Senator. Thank you, Eric. Sorry. Other questions from commission members?